Madam Chair Gatkar Wilcox and Chairwoman Dathan, and as well as Ranking Member Carney. And indeed, it is that kind of a step off from the standpoint of the lessons that we've learned from a stewardship and a responsibility for environmental preservation and sustainability. But I also wanted to thank the Government Oversight Committee because as a long standing member from the GAE committee, conveyance was always one where there was some frustration in regards to transparency and accountability. This forum, this type of an engagement allows an opportunity for transparency, accountability, and the public's input. So with that being said, I'll get right to the point. I'm State Senator Tony Hwang, the privilege of representing the 28th Senate District, which encompasses Newtown, Bethel, Easton, and Fairfield. I'm testifying today in support of the opportunity of supporting Senate Bill 1562, an act changing the authorized use of parcel of state land previously conveyed to the town of Newtown. This legislation proposes a real meaningful change, lifting the current deed restriction, which occurred in 2004, that limits the use of a state conveyed parcel in Newtown exclusively for economic development. Instead, this bill would permit the parcel's use for open space or recreational purposes, reflecting the community's deeply held commitment to environmental sustainability, public health, and quality of life. This is not merely a technical adjustment, it is a decision that acknowledges the importance of protecting ecologically sensitive land, a land that sits atop an aquifer protection area that borders the Catherine Violet Hubbard Animal Sanctuary and lies just uphill from Deep Brook, which is a Class 1 trout stream recognized for its pristine water quality and also a feeder pond into the Putatuck River, which flows down into the Housatonic and into the Sound. But it is a delicate ecosystem, and I think removing this kind of economic development would and using it for recreational and open space will empower the town to preserve this vulnerable and environmentally sensitive space. It is also opening the door for, I think, the balance between economic development and the financial interest in regards to municipalities to creating an ecotourism, educational awareness and a destination. I think that's the unique balance. I had the incredible pleasure of walking this property on Saturday, and it was just walking the streams, seeing the wildlife, and just enjoying what nature's provided and the delicate balance of what that land is all about. I think the best phrase that would offer in asking for this committee to support this conveyance is, it was a hat that was worn by an advocate. He says, once gone, lost forever. And I think that is a key theme in regards to protecting this land for open space and recreation, but balance it with the economic needs of a municipality for tax revenue and development. You can have a bit of both. And I think this conveyance and changing this land will meet both of those goals. Along with the same theme, I'd like to offer a quick testimony in support of 1564, an act amending a prior conveyance of a parcel of state land to the Catherine Violet Hubbard Foundation. This bill would propose a thoughtful and an essential amendment to the original conveyance of the state land to the Catherine Hubbard Foundation, an animal sanctuary and an environmental education center. It is an organization that was born from a terrible tragedy, which has become a living symbol of compassion, healing, and a purpose in our broader community. Senate Bill 1564 would remove the deed restriction that currently prevents the foundation from being able to build and lease a parcel of land or using it to be able to obtain a loan, to be able to build an educational center, which could serve to continue the mission. And I think balanced with the conveyance of 6 Commerce Road, we would be able to create a dynamic destination which would lure and educate communities from all around the area, from Danbury to Waterbury to Bridgeport, to be able to bring diverse groups of children and adults to understand our stewardship and responsibility, as I mentioned earlier, that we've been able to garner from the beautiful Ithaca gorges and landscape that reminded us that we have an important societal responsibility to protect our environment and sustainability, particularly in this day and age of climate change, with once in a 1,000-year storm occurring every few years. The protection of our waterways, the protection of open space to be able to absorb unexpected storm challenges is an important factor in preservation. So again, 1564 would complement the conveyance change of 1562, but this was not taken lightly. This was taken with many consultations with the state's attorney's general office to ensure that the language and the intent fulfills the mission of the conveyance to provide a greater public good of this land, and it would never be used for the wrong purposes, but also allow it to be able to use some aspects of it for a loan to build the necessary educational information and gathering center, as I would describe a eco tourism and educational center. Again, I appreciate the indulgence of the committee, and I'm available for any questions, but I rise in strong support of 1562 and 1564. And before I close, I want to acknowledge the collaborative efforts of my fellow state representatives representing Newtown, Representative Belinsky and Representative Foncello, for their efforts in collaborating in support of these programs. Ultimately, it is our stewardship and responsibility to ensure this precious, precious parcel of land remains open and available to everyone in Connecticut. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.